On this trip, I'd be combining Cascade and Porter, arguably the easiest of the Adirondack High Peaks, with Giant of the Valley and Rocky Peak Ridge, another relatively short hike, but with considerably more elevation gain, for the first of my single-day trip combos and my second outing into the Adirondack High Peaks. Here's what happened. Good morning and welcome back to the Adirondack Mountains. Today I am taking on Cascade and Porter Peak, which, if I am successful, will be peaks number 6 and 7 on my Adirondack 46 list. Cascade and Porter is the shortest and easiest day hike on my list. It's about 6 to 7 miles with about 2,300 feet of elevation gain. I'm only expecting it to take around 3 to 4 hours to complete. They are forecasting heavier showers around 10 to 11 a.m., so I'm thinking I'm gonna get a lot wetter as this hike goes on. I'm combining this hike with Giant Mountain and Rocky Peak Ridge, which I expect to summit in 2 days from now because the weather is going to be a lot nicer on Sunday. Today is Friday. The reason I combined these two hikes together into one trip is to keep the mileage low to offset the really huge elevation gain of about 6,600 feet between the two hikes, because Giant and Rocky Peak Ridge is over 4,000 feet on its own. The trail that I'm hiking today was laid out to replace the older, steeper, and more eroded trail back in 1974. Currently, they're actually planning on replacing this trail as well with a much longer trail that will start at Van Hovenberg. Work on the new trail started back in 2018, but currently, because of delays from COVID and staffing issues, they're not expecting to open the newer trail until later this year or out in 2025. I feel kind of fortunate that I'm doing this early enough to do it on this trail because this trail is much shorter and much easier than the new trail that's being built right now. I'm about halfway up Cascade now. This trail is quite rocky, but interestingly, it was steep for a little while. It was kind of like a staircase, but once I reached about the halfway point at about 1.5 miles, it started leveling off. Unlike many other mountains, it starts off steep and then it levels off as you get closer to the summit. It's kind of nice, actually. You can tell we're getting somewhere. Sky is below us. Yeah, about what you would expect. All right. Here's the only junction on the trail. Left goes a short way to Cascade, and then right goes to Porter. I think I'm just gonna tag Cascade first, and then we'll hook left around here, and then head back home once we tag Porter. Wonder if they're counting hikers. Actually, that breeze is fantastic. This peak must be amazing when there are views. All right.
Made it.
Yeah. Man, that breeze feels good, eh? All right, that was Cascade. No views, unfortunately, but that was number 6. Yay! Off to Porter now. Took about 2 hours to get up, and it's about 8:30 now. So, making good time. Back in the woods. So loud. Now, I have heard that the trail between Cascade and Porter can be pretty tricky. I also heard that it can be quite muddy, and considering it's been raining all morning, I'm expecting to get wet feet at some point in the next couple of miles. Just walking down a creek now. Not raining anymore, so I don't need that. Wow, it's pretty in here. Like a rainforest. Very cool. Oh. Oh. Yep. Am I supposed to go up that? Doesn't look like it. That's probably Porter over there. Hey. Oh, wow. Hell yeah. Oh boy. Ick. Oh my goodness. My trekking pole. Wow. Oh. Oh. Well, there's Porter, number 7. And now just a long walk back. There's been periodic breaks in the clouds, so we've been getting these little views here and there, which has been really cool. But the forecast says that right around this time, which is 10 a.m., it's supposed to close right back up and start raining again. So I had been thinking about going back and doing Cascade again, just to try to see if I could get the view up there, but I can see that it's starting to close up again, so I think I'm just gonna head back. Okay, back at the intersection. Now we go back home. want to check out those cliffs over there. That's where I'm gonna go. And boop. Just paddled from Vermont to New York. Let's go to the bridge next. That's the one I've been over a couple times now. Well, today has been phenomenal. We ended up doing about 6.5 miles, which was exactly how much we expected. The elevation gain that I registered was, I think, 2,600 feet, which was slightly more than I expected, but still a relatively easy hike, especially for bagging 2 mountains. I'm gonna lay low tomorrow. The weather's not supposed to be very good, but on Sunday we're supposed to get a nice hot sunny day, so I think I'm gonna go and tackle Giant and Rocky Peak Ridge on that day. But for now, let's get to this bridge. All right, we made it. This is the Lake Champlain bridge that I've been taking from Vermont over into New York last couple of times that I've done so. Seems so much bigger when you're under it. I want to check out that tower over there. I don't even know what it is. Crown Point Reservation. I actually have heard of that. Wondering if there's a path in here. Oh, there's a staircase. Hold on a minute. That'll do. Oof, slippery. Oh, it's like a whole campground over there. Oh, so this is a lighthouse. Yeah, that makes sense. Whoa. Cool. There's the bridge. That's an amazing view. Oh boy. Let's get back. right. Well, good morning and welcome to day 2 of our second trip here in the Adirondacks. We're on our way up Giant Mountain of the Valley, and we'll also be tagging Rocky Peak Ridge while we're up there. This is part of my first singles combo trip on the list, where I pair 2 single day hikes into one visit. We did Cascade and Porter 2 days ago. That was a rainy hike. Today we're expecting much better weather all day as we get up to Giant and Rocky Peak Ridge. I think I mentioned it before, but this combination has the lowest mileage of the 3 singles combos that I have planned, but it also has the greatest amount of elevation gain combined between the two, so I tried to offset the difficulty that way. We're about 1.5 miles into the hike now, and we've already climbed about 1,500 feet. It's been pretty steep right from the get-go. It's been a beautiful trail so far, and we still have a long way to go to get to the peaks we're after today. Behind me, I can see the Dix Range that we hiked a couple weeks ago, and further off to the left, there's actually a pretty neat cloud inversion. We have clear views down to Chapel Pond, and over that way we can see the Great Range, so the views are already really good on this trail. We got started nice and early. I was out of the tent at about 2:30 a.m. We stayed at DAR Campground. It was a nice campground right on Lake Champlain, and it offered a pretty good launch point for both of these hikes here in Keene Valley. It's now just before 7, and we have quite a ways to go. So this is the junction. Left the Giant, right to Rocky Peak Ridge. So I'm pretty sure I can look across and see Rocky Peak Ridge. It's about 1.2 miles away, but it's probably going to be the most challenging part of the hike today, because in those 1.2 miles we have to descend 700 feet from the intersection, which was at roughly 4,500 feet, down to the low point between the two peaks at roughly 3,800 feet, and then go back up another 600 feet or so to the summit of Rocky Peak Ridge at just over 4,400. The reason I've decided to do this first before tagging Giant is because I wanted to do it on the freshest legs possible. Not that the spur trail to Giant is very long at all, but I just wanted to get this out of the way more than anything else. Maybe it looks worse than it is. So we made it to the junction where we would either go left to go to Giant Mountain or turn right, which we did toward Rocky Peak Ridge at about 8:30 a.m., which is a little over 3 hours of hiking time. And it was about 3 miles and 3,000 feet of gain to get there. Of course, I'm going to lose a big chunk of that progress going over toward Rocky Peak Ridge and then have to regain it again, but trying not to think about that too much right now. Fun fact about Rocky Peak Ridge, it sounds like it would be the name of the ridge that Rocky Peak is on, but Rocky Peak Ridge is actually the name of the peak itself. And as far as I know, there isn't a name for the ridge itself. Wow. Cool moss. That's neat. Okay. Headed back up the other side now. So we're most of the way up Rocky Peak Ridge now, and what I can say is that the ascent back up Rocky Peak Ridge is far more gradual than the descent off of Giant. But that means that the return journey should actually be a lot easier because we'll be descending the more gradual part and climbing the steeper part. Nice. Is this it or is it over there? I'm gonna go check. Wow. You can see Champlain out in the distance. And there's a heart-shaped cloud. Aw. Well, I can't find the marker, but I know I made it, so that's Rocky Peak Ridge, number 8. Hell yeah. It's hard to believe I've climbed 8 peaks already. Anyway, we made it to the top of Rocky Peak Ridge pretty much 10 a.m. on the dot. And now we're headed back over, all the way down and all the way back up again to Giant Mountain for peak number 9. All right, we made it back down to the bottom. Made excellent time. I'd say that was 15 minutes maybe. Now the last major challenge of the day looms as I have to pull myself back up those rock slabs we descended earlier and get to the top of Giant. I remember you. Easy peasy as expected. Back at the junction. So there we have it. Giant Mountain for my 9th Adirondack peak. Giant is the 12th tallest mountain in the Adirondacks at 4,627 feet. It was actually the first high peak in the Adirondacks to be summited way back in 1797, and its full name is Giant of the Valley, a name that was given to it back then because of the way that it looms over Keene Valley. And from Keene Valley, it really does look massive. We made it to the summit at about 11:30. I stopped to take a break and eat some food, so it's about noon now, and we're on our way back down. So overall impressions of this hike, honestly, I think I built it up in my head while I was planning everything out to be more than it actually was. I'm not going to claim that it's easy, because it absolutely isn't, and especially that return from Rocky Peak Ridge back up to Granite and that intersection, certainly a test of resilience. But overall, it did kind of surprise me. It just wasn't quite as bad as I expected it to be. It was still slow going, as all the Adirondack hikes I've done so far have been, but there wasn't really any part where I was struggling or uncomfortable or even really worn out. Interestingly, I actually found the summit of Rocky Peak Ridge to be nicer than the summit of Giant. I wasn't really expecting that, but on Rocky Peak Ridge you get pretty much 360-degree views, whereas on Giant it's really just 180 degrees from roughly the Dix Range to the left over to Keene Valley to the right. That was fun. Just beautiful down here. Okay, final tally for the day was 9 miles, 4,700 feet of elevation gain, and we did it in just under 9 hours. What a beautiful afternoon. Couldn't ask for better.